So to say Barbie was a hit at the box office would be probably one of the understatements of the year. It's a gargantuan hit. And when something like this happens, Hollywood usually tries to learn a lesson, right? They want to duplicate this kind of a result, but usually they do it all the wrong way and they completely learn the wrong lesson. So, what are the lessons we would like them to learn in this situation? Well, for starters, we'd like them to take risks, right? Barbie was not a sure thing. People were very skeptical about it at the beginning. It's been, tumultuous to say the least, as it has gone through development and had a bunch of different directors and everything. Amy Schumer was attached at one point and everything. It wasn't easy going for the Barbie movie, but in the end, it did end up getting a director who had a real vision for things and it did it the way that she wanted to do it, and it paid off. And that's really one of the main things we would want them to learn, right? Continue to trust these directors who actually have visions and have ideas for things, and take the risk, because people want to see movies that are different. I think that's the big thing people are tired of when it comes to superheroes and Marvel and everything. It's not so much that it's just superhero fatigue, right? That's something that gets thrown around all the time. It's just bored, because it's the same thing that happened with Westerns, so long ago. It's just happening now. There's just too many of them. It doesn't mean that when a good one comes out that we won't enjoy it, right? But just, the odds are against you when there's 5 superhero movies coming out every year. Another thing we would want them to learn based off of this movie's success is to, find those underserved audiences and make movies that are geared towards them. In this case, women, right? Half the population of the planet just doesn't get enough movies that are geared towards them. And finding ways to do it where it isn't pandering. I mean, here we have Greta Gerwig, right? A woman writing a movie that is aimed at people that she understands. She's proven this a few times, right? Lady Bird was a big hit, at least as much as an indie movie like that can be a big hit. But Little Women, an actual hit and well received by the audience that wanted to go and see it, and even people outside of that audience. And then it really just kind of built to this, right? I think in here we also want Hollywood to keep on doing that, counter programming. In a movie that's coming out that's aimed at one group of people, put out a movie that's aimed at the opposite of that too. Not everything's always going to be a giant hit like this, where we put Barbie and Oppenheimer and they're on the same weekend and it becomes a huge meme and people go and see both. That's not going to happen. But that doesn't mean you still can't make some good money making a movie for the people who wouldn't want to go see the big movie that's coming out. One thing that I hope that they'll kind of take away from Barbie's success is, maybe making more comedies, because we are not getting enough big studio comedies anymore. And the thing about comedies is usually you don't have to spend as much money on them, which is also nice, and studios should be looking for more options like that too, because all these huge, massive monster budget movies, most of them aren't paying off. And so we're going to have to change something. The movie also didn't feel like it was building to anything outside of itself. It wasn't trying to just set up the next movie, which is something that is very, very refreshing. The movie had a beginning, a middle, and an end. No post-credit scene. It was just all in the movie. Most importantly, the thing I want the studios to remember from this, and it's the thing that they'll never remember, is that if you put out a good movie and actually market it, then people go see it, and then they tell other people to go see it, and then it does well. Not every time, of course, there are examples of it not working out that way, but it really helps out if you put out a movie that's actually worth going to see. And so then optimistically, those are the things I'd hope the studio would take away from Barbie's success. But we know that's not going to happen. Those aren't going to be the things that they do. Instead, probably they're going to latch onto even more nostalgia, try to double down on that. And I can't speak for everybody, but I'm definitely getting tired of that being where most intellectual properties are coming from and movies are coming from. Just because this thing that people knew from their childhood made money doesn't mean that everything that people know from their childhood is going to make money. Plus, Barbie is one of those special things where it's just continually been going. Barbie never disappeared. There are new Barbie movies, animated movies, coming out all the time. Trust me, I've seen a bunch of them. So maybe it's not just nostalgia, but maybe they're going to latch onto the toy thing still, right? Something that we've been having to deal with since the first Transformers movie really came out. And it's just not panned out very well. Hasbro is a good example of the fact that just because something was a toy and popular doesn't mean it's going to sell. We've had 3 G.I. Joe movies at this point. 3. With big stars. huge stars, and nobody looks back on them well. I think that they'll go even heavier into the meta movies too, really satirical kind of stuff. So hopefully they'll get writers that'll be able to do that. But, you know, to have writers, they got to pay them. So who knows if that's going to happen. I would hate to see the version of this movie that an AI would write. So please, can we just get these strikes over with? Just pay these people. Otherwise, it could be a long time until we see another movie that's written as, you know, smart as Barbie. And we can sit here and guess at the future. The only way to find out for sure is to wait and see what they're going to do. And I'm sure some of it will be good. I'm sure some of it will be bad. But fingers crossed for me personally, it's just like a Ken movie.